Thank you, Rabbi Strauss, and thank you all for the wonderful, warm Houston welcome. I want to open with a joke, and it's an old joke, so if you've heard it before, please don't stop me. It's what they usually say. So there was a guy, and he wanted to learn about religion. He wanted to explore his relationship with God, so he decided to go travel on a trip and go see all the different places, all the different major religious, the holy sites. So he started off going to Israel, going to Jerusalem, and he got there and he went to the Western Wall, and while he was there at the Kotel, he noticed a payphone. He noticed a big gold payphone on the wall, and it said, "Phone line to God, $10,000. So he asked someone, what is this thing? He asked one of the rabbis there, and because it was the Kotel, it was a Chabad rabbi, and the guy responded, it's what it says. It's a direct line to God. It costs $10,000 a call, but you pick it up, and God's on the other end. So he said, wow. And he kept going on his trip. He went to the next stop. He went to the Vatican, and same thing. He was getting a tour of the Vatican, and he saw on the wall right outside the Pope's office a big gold payphone with the words $10,000 a call. So he asked him again. He got the same answer. It's exactly what it says it is. It's a direct line to God, $10,000 a call. And his journey went on. He found the same thing when he went to Mecca. He found the same thing when he went to India. He went to the Buddhist temples. And on his journey, everywhere he went, he saw the same thing, a gold payphone with a sign that said $10,000 a call. So after his year of exploring, his journey ended. He was heading back home, and on his flight home, he had a transfer. And that transfer actually happened to be here at an airport in Texas. And he got off, he was waiting for his next flight, and he saw a gold payphone. He said, this payphone, it said 50 cents a call. So he asked, what's going on? I traveled all over the world, never it was $10,000 a call. And the person at the airport looked at him and said, you're in Texas now. It's a local call. But the point of the story is really just how amazing would it be to be able to pick up that phone? I think any one of us would spend way more than $10,000 in order to have a direct line to God. It's really an incredible, incredible thought. Just for those of you in the room who are younger than me, a payphone, it's like an iPhone, but it's outside, it's got a cord, you put money in it. It's no games. It's just to talk. You can't text, just to talk to people. But I remember back when I started rabbinical school at our orientation, one of the first things we were told was if you're not prepared to tell people you know what God wants of them, you're in the wrong field. And I thought to myself, maybe I'm in the wrong field. How do I know what God wants of someone? How can I tell them for certain? I'm still unsure what God wants of me because I don't have that payphone. I don't have that. And the reason I bring this up this week is we're in the last of a series of parshiot that deal with the building of the tabernacle. You all are very familiar with it. You have the verse up here, to build God a mikdash, v'yasuli mikdash, ushakanti b'tocham. And that's what we've been doing for the last 5 or so weeks in the Torah, is we've been building that tabernacle. We've been building the Mishkan. And one of the reasons for the Mishkan is so the priests can talk to God. They can have that direct line. In this week's Parsha, we go over all the different parts of the priestly garments. And it's interesting to me that one of the parts is actually left out that we talked about a few weeks ago, the Urim and the Tumim. And it's unclear exactly what these things are, the Urim and the Tumim. The rabbis, it shows you just how unsure they are, because they each say the other guy got it entirely wrong. My favorite one of them is Ramban, Nachmanides. He says that the Urim and the Tumim, it was a piece of parchment with God's name on it, and it went behind the breastplate. And on the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, there were stones and the names of all the different tribes, the community. And the point of this for me is that according to Nachmanides, that when the priest wanted to talk to God, the Urim and the Tumim did two things. One thing was it lit up the different stones to give the priest the answer to their question. And the other thing it did was it helped them to focus their mind. Part of it wasn't supernatural. Part of it was the priest, the tumim, helped the priest to focus so they could focus on the stones. They could focus on the community around them. Because is what I want to tell you tonight. That the way you hear God's voice is by opening yourself up to your community, by opening yourself up to your neighbors, to your loved ones, to the people around you. It's when we go this way to each other that we have that connection that goes up and down with God. One of my favorite Jewish philosophers, Martin Buber, he talks about this a lot. He has this idea of the I and thou. That God is that space when you look at someone, not in an I-it relationship. You don't look at someone in a way where you're looking to get some benefit out of them. You're looking to use them for some purpose. When you really just look at somebody and you look them in the eyes and you see them face to face and you are just there in their presence, not looking to get anything in return. It's in those moments that we come into relationship not just with that other person on a deep level, but we come into relationship with God, that we can hear God. And I want to think about it a little bit more. If we look through all the different parshiot, my question is, when in the Torah is God's voice most loudly heard? Right? There's thunder and lightning when we hear God's voice. It's not when there's a prophet alone with God. It's at the giving of the 10 Commandments. I heard it over here from somewhere. If you were under 10, I would throw you a piece of candy. Sorry. But it's the giving of the 10 Commandments. It's when the entire Israelite nation is combined as one. The entire Israelite nation is standing together, all the Jewish people. It's in that moment that we most clearly hear God's voice. When we go through our Siddur, if you had to pick a prayer, what prayer would you say is the most personal conversation that you have with God? You can shout it out. Shema. So Shema, though, is Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Right? We're talking to each other. It's a reminder that there's one God. If you had to think of one that was you talking to God, right? The Amidah is what I'm hearing. And if you look at the Amidah and you focus on it, it's all in the third person plural. It's all we. All the prayers in there are God. When we ask God for things, it's in the we. When we talk to God, we talk about our community. We think about the needs of the people around us. And I want to close with two final thoughts on that. There's a Lithuanian rabbi around the turn of the 19th century, Avraham Tamrat. And we were studying him in our Talmud class the other week, and we came across this really beautiful, beautiful quote that I loved. He talks about the different categories of mitzvot. There are mitzvot between human beings, and there are mitzvot between people and God. So between human beings are things like giving tzedakah, visiting the sick, and between people and God are things like lighting Shabbat candles, wearing a talit, putting on tefillin. And what he says is that all of the mitzvot that are between human beings and God, they're really just there to train us to be more loving and more compassionate so that we can better fulfill the mitzvot between human beings, between each other. That it's in those moments that we see God and we hear God. And the final part is when we talk about the ark and the tabernacle this week, when Moses goes and he hears God's voice in the tabernacle, we're told that it comes from between the two cherubim. It's these two things on top of the ark that are facing each other, and it's when they look at each other eye to eye, it's in that space that Moses hears God. So, returning back to the opening, we don't have that payphone, sadly. We don't have the Urim and the Tumim. We don't have these abilities to necessarily hear God's voice directly like the Torah describes. But we do have a way to hear God, and that's by turning to each other, by looking each other in the eye, by caring about each other, by being connected with each other, by creating a holy community, a kahila kadoshah, by gathering together in moments like this. It's in these moments that if we listen carefully, we can hear God's voice. Shabbat shalom.